Alrighty guys, here we go. We're moving along in our ACT math practice to question number 41, which says a certain rectangle is 5 times as long as it is wide. A certain rectangle is 5 times as long as it is wide. So here's our rectangle. Let's say it's 1W, and its length over here, our length would be 5W. Suppose the length and width are both tripled. The perimeter of the second rectangle is how many times as large as the perimeter of the first rectangle? Oops. On a second rectangle, the length and width are both tripled. So now its width is 3W. And its length, 5W times 3, is 15W. And now we want to compare the perimeter of each. So the perimeter here of our new one is, let's just call it 3 and 3 and 15 and 15. 3 plus 3, perimeter means add up the sides. So our perimeter equals 3 plus 3 over here, and 15 across the bottom, and 15 across the top would be 36. And our perimeter over here be 1 plus 1, and that on the sides, 1 and 1, and across the bottom and the top, 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5, 10, 11, 12. So our perimeter went from being 12 to being 36. How many times larger is that? It's 3 times larger. 12 times 3 equals 36. Times 3 equals 36. There it is. That's the answer to question 41. Moving on to number 42. If R and S are constants and x squared plus rx plus 12 is equivalent to x plus 3 times x plus s, what is the value of R? Okay, I'm going to think about this in an area model. And we know we have x plus 3, and we have x plus something, s. We don't know exactly what it is. Equals to this right here. X times x is x squared. X times 3 we know is 3x. This we don't know. We know we have a 12 here. The only way to get a 12 here is if s is equal to 4. So 4 times x is 4x. Combine like terms to get our middle rx term. 3x plus 4x means that R equals, you got it, 7. Moving forward to question number 43, we have, for what value of B would the following system of equations have an infinite number of solutions? So your system of equations has an infinite number of solutions when do they have an infinite number of solutions? When the equations are equivalent. And you can think of this in terms of going back to like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Think about equivalent fractions. How do we turn 3 to 12? 3 turns to 12 by multiplying by 4. How do you turn 5 to 20? By multiplying by 4. So we need to do what to 27? Multiply by 4. Keep it equivalent, do the same thing. 27 times 4 equals 108. So we need 3b to be equal to 108. How do you get the b by itself? To find the value of b, what's the 3 and the b doing together? They're multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplication? Divide both sides of the equation by 3 to turn that 3 right there into an invisible sneaky ninja 1 who disappears, and we're left with b equals 108 divided by 3 is 36. And that's our answer to question number 43. Now, if you wanted to use your graphing feature on the calculator, you could, but I think it would take a lot longer that way to guess and check it, and you'd have to isolate your y's. I think if it's me, I'm gonna solve it that way. If you want to play around with it and figure out how to use the graphing feature to find the answer, that's great. But for me, I'm going to move on to question number 44. Sorry about that. My dog was just talking to the neighbor dogs in her little Chihuahua language. All right. Question number 44 says, which of the following calculations will yield an even integer for any integer a? It'll always be even. Well, I know right away. I'm looking for stuff that's got everything even. Even exponent times an even number plus an even number. That is the correct answer, but you can check that by plugging in a number. Plug in an odd number for A, and I'm going to pick an odd number that's not anywhere in the equation, not 0, not 1, not 2, and not a number I see anywhere in the equation. I'm going to say that A equals 7. Pick a number strategy. You might look at a question like this and say, oh, we're on question number 44. It's not allowed to be an easy question anymore. It's got to be a difficult one. But, you know, these tests, sometimes the trick is that it looks harder than it actually is. Sometimes that's what makes it hard. You just say, oh, it can't be that simple. Let's look. If we had 2 times 5 squared plus 3. 2 times 5 squared plus 3. We got an odd number. Try G. 4 times 5 to the power of 3 plus 1. Odd number. First option H5 times 5 squared plus 2, odd number. 6, option J, our answer, 6 times 5 to the power of 4 plus 6. There it is, our even number. 5 to the power of 6 minus 3. Oh, we got an even number. But there would be times where you would get an odd number possibly here. Why did I pick 5? I thought I said I was going to pick 7. Might pick a number strategy. Let's try 7. 7 to the power of 6 minus 3. Still even. Huh. We're getting even numbers here. What can we put for A to give us for any integer? Oh, if we put an even if we put an even one, 6 to the power of 6 minus 3, that'd be any even number there then. If it was 18 to the power of 6 minus 3, there we go. Any even number is giving us an odd number for the solution. So, okay, pick a number strategy. What did we pick? We picked A equals 7. We picked A equals 5. We picked A equals 18. We picked A equals all kinds of things. You just pick a number and check on a question like this. And no matter if you were putting an even or an odd number for J, it's always going to give you an even integer solution. All right, question number 45. What is the solution set of 3a minus 3 is greater than or equal to 12? And I sort of said in one of my classes, we can kind of graph this to see the answer. If we put, if we subtract 12 on both sides, so absolute value of 3a minus 3 minus 12, and we say y equals, and we just like look and see what does this graph look like. Y equals math over absolute value of 3. We've got to change our a to a x, right? Because we're only dealing in x and y. Minus 12. And we look at this graph and we want to know when it's, let's see, why did I change that to equals? It shouldn't be y equals. It should be, let me see here. We subtracted the 12 is greater than or equal to 0. And that's our y is greater than equal to sign. But we flipped it around over here to the front, y. So we got to flip our sign. Is less than or equal to the absolute value of 3a minus 3 minus 12. This is what I needed to put in right here. When is it less than? So come back here to this, and we're going to change our little graph to be less than. And I want my line to be go back up. Less than. So this little triangle like this is going to give you y is less than absolute value of 3x minus 3 minus 12. And then we click graph. Okay, and this is where you can see that it's less. When y is less than -3 here, or a is less than -3, That's the only one that's got it. Or over here, when a is greater than 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or x is greater than 5. X is greater than 5. This had half of the answer. This didn't. This didn't. So answer choice B is the correct answer, and we kind of got to use our graphing calculator to solve it. If you're not a fan of using the graphing calculator, you could also solve your absolute value inequality the normal way, less than or equal to 12, by splitting it off into two equations. 3a minus 3 is greater than or equal to 12, and 3a minus 3, we're going to change this side to negative 12, and when we're bringing a negative to the absolute value, to the inequality party, the inequality flips around. And now add 3 to both sides of the inequalities. And it's the same thing over here. To get these 3's to cancel to 0. That gives you 3a is greater than or equal to 15. And 3a is less than or equal to negative 9. Now divide everything by 3. Gives you a is greater than or equal to 15 divided by 3 is 5. 3 is cancel. A is less than or equal to negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. Same answer, algebra way or graphing calculator method. Any which way you want to get to your answer is fine, and it is allowed to use the graphing calculator on the ACT, so might as well. Question number 46. Oh, they give you this huge table with all of this information. Let's see. What is the cosine of 5 pi over 12 given that 5 pi over 12 equals pi over 4 plus pi over 6, and that the cosine of alpha plus beta equals the cosine of alpha times the cosine of beta minus the sine of alpha times the sine of beta? Note, you may use the following table of values. Oh, well, thank you very much, but I'll choose not to. I'm just going to put in my calculator 5 pi over 12. We're in radian mode, so I'm going to double check my calculator is in radian mode, and you can see right here when we're talking about circles, you could be in radian or degree mode. You just want to make sure that your calculator is on radian mode before you put this in. So the cosine of, oopsies, 5, and you see your pi is blue, so second pi over 12. Enter. So I'm just going to look down to my answer choices and find one that is equal to 0.258819045. And I know that 1/4 equals 0.25 with nothing else behind it. 1/2 equals 0.5. So I'm not going to check those. I'm going to come to H and put in a fraction. And we got square root of 6 minus square root of 2 over 4. Enter. Perfect match. And if you had tried any of the others, let's pull that back up and change that square root of 6 to square root of 3. And that's over 2. J is not a match. And that was, let's see, try K. That's a 6. And that's square root of 6 plus 2 over 4, even farther away. There we go. We know for sure the answer is H. So I'm not going to go through all of the steps and using that chart because we can just back solve. We can just find the match between the question and the answers. And question number 47 says, if y does not equal z, what are the real values of x that make the following inequality true? Well, if we look here, we can see a y at the front of both and a z at the front of both. So I can factor out y minus z. X times y minus z on the numerator over 3 times y minus z is less than 0. Agreed, right? And now we have the same thing on top of the same thing. Like I told my 5th graders, when you're dividing the same thing by the same thing, they simplify to a great big invisible sneaky ninja 1. So really it disappears. We got x over 3 is less than 0. And now we want to get the x by itself. X over 3, every fraction is a division problem. What's the opposite of division? It is to multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides of our inequality by positive 3 to make our 3's over here cancel out. X is less than 0 times 3 is 0. If x is less than 0, then that means that it could be any negative number. And answer choice A means all negative real numbers, means any negative number. Moving forward to question number 48, the perimeter of a square is 36 units. How many units long is the diagonal of the square? So here's our square. The perimeter equals 36, and perimeter equals, you did what with all 4 sides? You added them up, and if it's a square, it means all 4 sides are equal. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that means the lengths are 9, the widths are 9. And how many units long is the diagonal of the square? So the diagonal. So that's the line going across here. We'll call that x. Oh, we have ourselves a what in the corner of our square? We have ourselves a 90-degree angle. We have an isosceles right triangle. So we know, well, let's just use a Pythagorean theorem. Say it wasn't necessarily an isosceles right triangle. We know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared by the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, or where c is your hypotenuse. So I'm going to change that c to be x. And I'm going to change my a and b to be the legs of my triangle to both be 9. and that's 81 plus 81 equals x squared, and 81 plus 81 equals 162 equals x squared. What's the opposite of something squared? Take the square root, so x equals the square root of 162. Square root of 162 is 12 7/10. So I know none of these with a whole number answer are correct. Let's check. 9 square root of 2, and we've got a match. 18 times the square root of 3 is going to be too much. There we go. And 2 more questions till Mrs. Cameron gets another break. Question number 49 says, what is the equation of the circle in the standard xy coordinate plane that has a radius of 4 units and the same center as the circle determined by x squared plus y squared minus 6y plus 4 equals 0? Okay, well, I know that my equation of a circle, this is something you have to have memorized. This is not an equation they're going to give you. But since it's multiple choice, it kind of looks familiar to me. So I know my equation of a circle says x minus your x coordinates of the center. I think the center is called HK, like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. And I know my radius of 4 means r squared is going to be 16. So all of these are a match for the radius. So now we need to figure this out for the center. So this h is going to be 0 because it's only x squared. There's no other x. So this is just x squared plus y something equals 16. So I need to focus in on this section right here and factor it to a binomial times itself. So actually, I'll do an area model. It's kind of my go-to here. I know y times y will give me my y squared. I want to take half of this. -3, -3. Yoshi. Sorry, guys. Yoshi was wanting some attention. That's her. She has very strong lungs for how old is she? For a 10-year-old Chihuahua. Aren't you proud of her vitality and strength? Anyways, okay. We have y times y is y squared minus 3y minus 3y. 3 times 3, -3 times -3 is going to be a positive 9. So that'll be y minus 3. And it doesn't matter that this equation here, like it's not a perfect match, right? That has a 4 instead of a 9. It's fine. No worries. This is our answer right here. X squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 16. Answer choice E. And it'll help you out if you can be at least familiar enough with the equation of a circle. And our last question for this video, well, Yoshi's giving me time here to talk, says a rectangular kitchen is 8 feet longer than it is wide. Here's our kitchen. Our width is W, and our length is whatever the width is plus 8 more. Its area is 240 square feet. How long in feet is it? Well, if area equals length times width, and the area is 240, the length is W plus 8 times the width is W. Then we can distribute our W. 240 equals W squared plus 8W. And we can guess and check for W. We can do that. Let's try answer choice A. 16 squared plus 8. Why did I pick 16? That's not what answer choice F says. It says 12. I'm having to hold the dog and she's wiggling. I'm sorry. 12 squared plus 8 times 12. Does this equal to 240? If it does, we found the answer. Well, we found the answer for the width. We know that the width equals to 12. But how long is it in feet? Well, if the width equals 12, we gotta say width plus 8 is length equals W plus 8 equals 12 plus 8 equals 20. There we go. Woo. And there are other ways to get to that answer. I kind of lucked out that the Yoshi Kulit, that the width was answer choice F. I might have had to do some more poking around, but I'm gonna say thank you for having luck on my side for this question, and I'm gonna end this video here. And I hope I'm able to get those last 10 questions in later on tonight, but it is time for Mrs. Cameron to spend some time with her family now. So I wish you all the best on your studying, and if you're one of my students, as always, you can leave a comment on YouTube for me, or you can reach me on Teams, and I will get back to you when I am available. Have a good night. Bye.